On this episode of 6 Months Later, we'll be taking a look at Apple's iPad Pro. Is it worth upgrading your old iPad to? And what features set it apart to make it an entirely different iPad experience? Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy some theme music. If you were like me and originally bought one of Apple's first generations of iPads, you probably loved it for the first year or two. But after a while, you noticed the OS started becoming sluggish, apps weren't working as well as they used to, and you started forgetting your iPad around the house and not really caring where you put it. In the pre-iPad Pro era, iPads were really good at one thing and mainly one thing only, and that was consumption. They were great for watching Netflix, browsing the internet, checking Facebook, and for casual gaming. But overall, they weren't that great for productivity, actually producing content. The first keyboard accessories that came out for the iPad were clunky, they required batteries, and overall they weren't that great. And the styluses that came out for the iPad really sucked. You really couldn't draw on the iPads at all. Nevertheless, all of these shortcomings, the iPad still cemented itself in consumer tech, creating an entirely new category of devices that it is still the king of today. With its bigger screen, the iPad was better for consumption than your smartphone, but it still wouldn't replace your laptop because the laptop was still king for productivity. After years of declining iPad sales and in the era where smartphones started getting bigger screens and getting better at consumption, Apple decided to release the iPad Pro, the next iteration of the iPad. Now, when the iPad Pro first came out, I really didn't give it that much thought. It came out with a 12.5-inch display that was ginormous. And it really didn't make me feel like, yes, I need to have this Apple product like Apple products usually do. Now, when Apple released the 9.7-inch variant of the iPad Pro, again, I didn't get the feeling like, oh yeah, I really need this. I need to buy this Apple product. However, once Black Friday started kicking into gear last year and all the sales started coming out, I saw the iPad Pro was going to get some pretty hefty discounts from a lot of retailers like Target, Best Buy, etc. So I started to take a closer look. Now, I know that my previous iPad was just collecting dust under my nightstand. I hadn't used it probably for 6 months, but could I really let 2016 be the first year since high school I didn't buy an Apple product? Heck no. So what was the killer feature that drove me to purchase the iPad Pro? Well, besides just my obsession for Apple products, the feature that really drove me to purchase the iPad Pro was note-taking. Now, when the iPad Pro first came out, again, I wasn't that impressed with it, but the one thing I was impressed with was the Apple Pencil. Now, what the Apple Pencil is it's a stylus made for the iPad Pro. But what the Apple Pencil does is it allows you to write extremely naturally on the iPad Pro with almost no lag, and your handwriting actually looks like your handwriting when you write on this thing. It's unbelievable. It's one of those moments when you use an Apple product that just works. It almost feels like magic. And that is really hard to do, and it blew me away when I tried it out in the Apple Store. So I thought to myself, this thing could really replace my notepad I use at work. And after 6 months of using it, I can say for a fact that it indeed has replaced my notepad. The Apple Pencil, plus the iPad Pro, plus an app from the App Store called GoodNotes, all combined make a note-taking experience better in every way possible as opposed to just using a pen and paper. Now, if you're not familiar with the app GoodNotes, what GoodNotes allows you to do is to write in a digital notebook. It backs up all of your notes through a variety of cloud storage services such as Google Drive and Dropbox, and it'll even search keywords in your notes. So it'll actually search your handwriting and it'll highlight the text to show you what it found. The search, paired with the ability to drag and select text, write notes on a PDF presentation, and digitally highlight, all of this adds up to functionality that just completely surpasses old pen and paper in every way possible. Except you're writing on a screen, not on a piece of paper. I guess some people like that. Now, another feature I've really come to love after using my iPad Pro for the past 6 months is the smart keyboard made by Apple. Now, I should mention before I get on to reviewing the smart keyboard that both the Apple Pencil and the Smart Keyboard cost extra and are not included with the iPad Pro. Now, the main reason I ended up getting the Smart Keyboard was mainly from reviews I've read about how good it was lightweight, and most importantly, it did not require batteries, because I do not need one more device in my life that I need to worry about whether or not the battery is going to run out. Now, I should mention the reason the Smart Keyboard doesn't require batteries is because it's powered directly by the iPad Pro through the Smart Pin connector Apple designed specifically for the iPad Pro line. Overall, I haven't used the Smart Keyboard as much as I've used the Apple Pencil, but when I do use the keyboard, I absolutely love it. Everything feels really comfortable. I can type surprisingly accurately and pretty fast, and the key travel on the keyboard feels really good. It's not as much key travel as you may be used to if you're coming from a classic MacBook Pro, but it's way more key travel than the current generation of MacBooks. Now, the keyboard is also covered in this durable canvas material, which makes cleaning the keyboard really easy and makes everything feel durable and very safe if you spill anything on it. Now, I will say the Smart Keyboard does take some getting used to. There's some origami going on with this thing, trying to get it into different configurations, whether or not you want it propped up so you're typing on it, or you want it sort of slanted up for drawing on it. It takes a couple days to get used to, but overall it's not really bad. It's maybe not the best design Apple has done with a case, but nevertheless it still gets the job done. Another shortcoming I've found with my iPad Pro setup after about 6 months is really with the Apple Pencil. The way you charge the Apple Pencil is just kind of stupid. So you take the cap off and you just plug the pencil into the iPad Pro. And it looks pretty ridiculous. Like, I'm pretty sure Apple had some sort of more elegant solution for charging this Apple Pencil, but I would assume they just had to go with this for some reason, design, cost, or whatever. You really have to be careful where you charge your Apple Pencil, because if this thing is just sticking off the edge of a table, someone walks by, it could break the pencil, it could damage your iPad Pro, so just be aware of that. Another thing I've noticed after 6 months of using the Apple Pencil is the stainless steel ring around the top where the Apple Pencil logo is embossed into the stainless steel. That is easy to scratch. Don't be alarmed after 6 months if you look at your Apple Pencil and you see all these little hairline scratches in the stainless steel. All in all, after 6 months of use, I'm really happy with the iPad Pro, the Apple Pencil, and the Smart Keyboard. All three combined, I use this device way more than I ever used my previous iPad, and I really like the direction Apple is starting to take the iPad line in general. The iPad Pro can do so much more than the first generation's iPads ever could. I think if you're the type of person that surfs the web, does casual gaming, checks Facebook, maybe wants to handwrite notes or type an email or type a letter or something like that, the iPad Pro may be the device you're looking for. It's way more portable and more user-friendly than a typical laptop, and it may solve most of your needs. Now, while Apple did make the iPad Pro for people who want to create content, they also improved the iPad Pro for consuming it. Through the True Tone display, they increased the color gamut, they increased the brightness and contrast of the display, as well as adding 4-speaker audio. It just makes for a really great content consumption experience. Now, currently, the iPad Pro 9.7-inch variant starts at $599, the Apple Pencil costs $99, and the Smart Keyboard sells for $149. Now, at that price point, this iPad and this solution is not going to be for everyone. But if you want to replace your physical notebook, get the iPad with the best display, get the iPad with the best graphics and chip performance, then you're definitely going to want to look at the iPad Pro. For 6 months later, I'm Josh Tedder.